and finding contradictions. Every small clue strengthened her initial suspicions. Her worry for her daughter and the injustice Charlotte had suffered transformed into a powerful driving force, helping her overcome fatigue and pressure. Shatters. Catherine clearly sensed the fear in their eyes and voices. Someone had acted quickly and effectively to cover it up. Despite facing countless obstacles, Catherine did not waver. She spent hours analyzing every conversation, comparing the smallest details. Charlotte, though young, had unwittingly become the center of a calculated power game. Catherine knew she faced a cunning opponent, but the sacred bond of motherhood gave her no choice but to press forward. When rumors of Catherine's quiet investigation began reaching Camilla's ears, Camilla's credibility within the royal family suffered severely. Many began to look at her differently, not with pure respect, but with wariness and disappointment. Camilla sat silently, her face pale. For the first time, she clearly felt the power of the truth when exposed. As for Charlotte, King Charles made a public and strong decision. In a subsequent internal ceremony, he embraced his granddaughter and declared before the royal family members, "Charlotte is the pride," but could not be directly proven that Camilla had given the order. Many of her close associates were found to be closely involved. The indirect exchanges and friendly suggestions were brought to light. Consequences followed quickly. Several key personnel were removed from their positions, transferred, or forced to resign. Openly confronting the issue immediately could cause chaos and damage the royal family's shared reputation. Therefore, Catherine chose a discreet but persistent path, her journey to uncover the truth in order to protect her daughter. Procedures for major royal events, Catherine met with those involved in preparing the banquet. She met them in private settings during intimate afternoon teas or walks in the palace gardens, always speaking gently, while her eyes sharply observed every expression. Gradually, the first pieces fell into place. Every morning, she rose early, sat at her desk with a thick notebook, and recorded every smallest detail from the moment Charlotte stood silently before the occupied chair. She began her investigation secretly and skillfully, under the guise of reviewing and evaluating, clearly presenting the clues, the unusual questions before the event, the unsigned amendment staff testimonies, and the important document that the long-serving employee had finally handed over. Charles listened attentively, his face gradually darkening. William maintaining her usual calm expression. Catherine took a deep breath, her voice clear but full of emotion. "Father, today I can no longer stay silent." What happened to Charlotte at the banquet was not a technical error. It was a deliberate plan. She laid out each page on the tables collected through many days of secret investigation. The atmosphere in the room was heavy. King Charles sat in the presiding seat, William beside Catherine, and Camilla was also present, planted like a minor, insignificant adjustment. Camilla felt satisfaction as she saw her plan progress. She knew the symbolic value of that chair well. Sitting in it was not just an honor, but a statement of status. "I am the queen," she thought, is still young. Sitting near the center might create pressure. "We need to ensure the banquet runs smoothly, don't we?" The manager nodded politely, but Camilla did not stop there. She used her influence, subtle gifts, and implied promises to apply gentle pressure. Another aide received a suggestion. "Seat number 7 has great symbolic meaning, but perhaps we should be a bit more flexible to suit current roles." Gradually, the idea of changing the seating was because she is still young to avoid unnecessary attention or pressure. They phrased it very skillfully, but I felt something was off. Catherine gripped her notebook tightly, her heart pounding, the one sitting there. The questions were not typical professional inquiries, but seemed designed to probe, apply pressure, and suggest changes. Another staff member, after much hesitation, whispered to Catherine. Someone suggested adjusting Princess Charlotte's position. An aide responsible for the seating chart recounted nervously that weeks before the event, he had received unusual questions from an unidentified intermediary Seat number 7 has special historical significance. Do you think Queen Camilla should be there? She felt her daughter's pain acutely. She wanted to stand up and demand justice immediately. But royal experience made her restrain herself. "Charlotte, you are so strong," she thought silently, her eyes glistening with worry and determination. William sat beside her, gripping his wife's hand tightly away from the symbolic chair. The little girl walked without a word of complaint, but her small steps were heavier than ever. The banquet continued. The music resumed, but the echo of that moment could not be erased. Late that night, during an emergency internal meeting, Camilla spoke calmly. "I simply sat according to the arrangement," his face showing suppressed fury. Camilla remained seated calmly, adjusting her posture with composure. She glanced at Charlotte, then looked away as if nothing had happened. Her attitude sent chills down the spines of those nearby. Finally, under the urgent direction of the protocol team, Charlotte was led to another seat a few places. Catherine, with her strong maternal instincts, would not stop until the truth was revealed. Everything began a few weeks before the fateful banquet in the quiet corridors of Windsor Castle. A private conversation unintentionally changed everything. King Charles and Prince William were discussing of the Windsor family's future. In the following days, Catherine observed quietly. She saw Camilla maintain her calm exterior, participating in activities as if nothing had happened. But Catherine knew that behind that facade were calculations. Her unease grew. She worried not only for Charlotte, but for the stability of the entire family. Gradually, Catherine's suspicions spread to King Charles. He began requesting a full review of the event preparation process. The first pieces of the conspiracy were emerging. And to attend such an important event, and seat number 7, her specially designated place, was a symbol of her future position in the line of succession. But when Charlotte stopped in front of her assigned seat, the smile on her lips gradually faded. The chair with canny confidence, as if the position had always belonged to her. No explanation, no gesture of yielding. Charlotte stood motionless. The little girl did not cry, was already occupied. Queen Camilla, elegant in her lavish gown, sat upright, her hand gently stroking her bracelet. She did not look around, nor did she appear surprised or embarrassed. Instead, Camilla sat there with an calm as ever, but carried undeniable authority. The banquet concluded smoothly. We should not dwell on those minor misunderstandings any further. Everyone must keep the information confidential and avoid affecting the royal family's overall image. This is our shared responsibility. The reminder was given as sincere advice, but everyone felt it was an irresistible implicit order. Some staff received subtle gifts accompanied by carefully worded messages, making it clear that silence was the safest choice. This invisible pressure spread quickly, creating a wall of silence around the seat number 7 incident. Camilla did not stop at silencing people. She took stronger action by reassigning personnel, the chief quietly spreading. Catherine could not erase the image of her daughter standing silently before the occupied chair. Every night, she tossed and turned, filled with indignation and fear. Though Charlotte tried to appear strong, her innocent eyes still showed unmistakable disappointment. As a mother, Catherine felt it clearly her daughter had not only lost a seat, but had been tested in front of the entire royal family and international guests. What troubled Catherine most was Camilla's eerily calm demeanor. She showed no embarrassment, offered no apology, and even sat in seat number 7 with an air of natural entitlement. She knew exactly what she was doing, Catherine whispered to William, the seating arrangements. Charles's voice was warm and proud. Seat number 7 will be for Charlotte. It is a position worthy of her. It carries the symbol of the direct bloodline, continuing my mother's legacy. William nodded in agreement. Neither knew that Camilla was standing just behind a slightly ajar door. She heard every word. At that moment, Camilla kept her usual polite smile, but a cold glint flashed in her eyes. Seat number 7, the sacred symbol once reserved by Queen Elizabeth for direct successors, was now being given to a child. A child of pure Windsor blood, while Camilla always felt she was an outsider who came later. From that moment, a simmering resentment began to grow. The more fragmented accounts she heard from different staff members, the more convinced she became that this was not a random mistake or simple administrative error. Everything had been prepared systematically in advance. Someone had deliberately infiltrated the process, using influence and subtle. One quiet evening, her voice full of emotion and exhaustion, William held his wife tightly. He too felt the heavy burden Catherine was carrying alone. She continued tracing the leads persistently. Catherine met with the longest-serving staff member who had witnessed suggestions to change the seating without leaving clear traces from the start. Rage surged within Catherine. She pictured her daughter standing alone in the luxurious hall, and silent tears fell during the late nights. They calculated every step to hurt our family, she shared with William's family. The grand state banquet at St. George's Hall that evening resembled an antique painting with sparkling chandeliers and melodious symphonies. A solemn atmosphere enveloped her eyes, offered no apology, and had no intention of leaving the chair. She simply said it might be a minor mistake. While the aides tried to resolve the situation discreetly, Catherine saw something that others did not: a conspiracy. As Catherine began asking questions, the answers she received led to secrets that someone seemed very determined to hide. Was this truly just a harmless error? Or was there a long calculated plot behind that chair to change Charlotte's position within her own Queen Camilla? That testimony was like fuel confirming all of Catherine's suspicions. The entire incident was a deliberately orchestrated plan to diminish Charlotte's symbolic role and assert Camilla's own position. However, the closer she got to the truth, the greater the difficulties became. When Catherine tried to re-interview key witnesses, they suddenly changed their attitudes completely. An aide who had previously been helpful now shook his head and avoided her. Invisible pressure from somewhere seemed to weigh heavily on them. Some even refused to cooperate entirely, citing reasons from busyness to not wanting to get involved in internal matters. Many ups and downs of the royal family. After long minutes of silence, he finally spoke. "I once saw a strange handwritten note in the main file. No clear signature, but it instructed moving seat number 7 to traces. Everything went through intermediaries and vague notes. Finally, just days before the banquet, a handwritten amendment appeared in the official file. No clear signature. No one thought during long nights filled with ambition and fear of fading. Initial resentment turned into a systematic plan. She left no direct claimed responsibility, but the content was simple. Queen Camilla to be moved to seat number 7, with Charlotte adjusted to another position. The entire change was disguised as a routine administrative adjustment to ensure safety and smoothness for the event. Camilla knew everyone was busy, and her last-minute secret change would go on. Glittering chandeliers and the presence of hundreds of distinguished guests, Princess Charlotte was stunned to see Queen Camilla sitting in the seat that was meant for her, the one who carries the direct royal bloodline. What puzzled many was not the mix-up itself, but Camilla's attitude. She showed no surprise.
This time has above all reminded William and me to reflect and be grateful for the simple yet important things in life, which so many of us often take for granted.
No one in St. George's Hall that evening could have imagined that a single chair would spark the most silent crisis within the British royal family. Amid the sitting in the position that was supposed to be hers at the banquet, the story of seat number 7 came to an end, but its echoes would continue to resonate for a long time within Windsor Castle, where tradition and schemes always walk hand in hand in the shadows. What do you think Charlotte felt when she saw someone else to the limit? That protective mother, with her fierce maternal instinct, would not let this plot slide easily. Deep inside, a small part of Camilla still felt uneasy. She knew she was playing a dangerous game, where one mistake could undermine her current position. Noticed. When she sat in seat number 7 during the banquet, Camilla was not surprised. She had prepared mentally long before. Her calm demeanor was the result of meticulous planning. But Camilla did not anticipate that her action would push Catherine's patience to. But ambition and fear of being eclipsed overwhelmed everything. The plot had been executed, and the wheels of fate began turning at unstoppable speed. After the tense banquet and consecutive sleepless nights, Catherine decided she could not remain idle. She understood that royal aides hurriedly conferred on the sidelines. "We cannot disrupt the ceremony," one whispered urgently. "Please escort the princess to another seat." They were anxious, their eyes darting between Charlotte and Camilla. The air was taut as a bowstring. Guests began to notice the anomaly. Soft murmurs arose, though everyone tried to keep their expressions composed. Catherine, from her own position, witnessed everything. Her heart tightened. As a mother, and was placed in a symbolic position for the direct bloodline. According to the chart approved weeks earlier, Charlotte was supposed to sit there. Yet now, Camilla had taken it. The royal, to old traditions, quietly kept an important document. It was his private notes on the indirect exchanges before the banquet, clear evidence showing behind-the-scenes interference in the protocol arrangements. He stored it carefully in his personal drawer, afraid to make it public for fear of losing his job, but unwilling to destroy it. It was like a ticking time bomb, waiting for the day it would be triggered. Camilla's cover-up succeeded partially, but it also unintentionally deepened the fractures within the royal family. And the truth, though temporarily buried, was still waiting to explode. Finally, the decisive moment arrived. During a private family meeting at the palace, 3 days later, Catherine entered with a determined demeanor. In her hands was a thin but weighty folder, the evidence. "Charlotte is a smart and lovely little girl. She is the pride of our family," Camilla said sweetly to the crowd, her gaze directed toward Catherine like a silent message. Those photos and videos spread rapidly, creating a strong impression of a harmonious, loving royal family. The public cheered at the beautiful exterior, while behind the facade were intricate schemes. Camilla felt temporarily reassured as public opinion shifted positively. She believed all traces had been erased. Files had been reviewed, vague notes handled, and hidden pressure had made most witnesses stay completely silent. However, Camilla did not realize there was still a small gap she could not control. A long-serving staff member who had devoted his entire life to the royal family and remained loyal to see the anomaly. Camilla had shown no surprise at all and had even adjusted her posture on the chair with quiet satisfaction. That was not the reaction of someone who had sat in the wrong place by accident. "I will investigate further," Charles said, though his voice carried hesitation. He did not want open caught an administrative error. Someone deliberately interfered, and we all know who it might be. Her voice rang with determination, her eyes blazing with the fire of a protector. Charles looked at her. He too was beginning conflict, but he could not ignore someone daring to challenge the royal order. Catherine nodded, her heart now filled with suspicion. She recalled the times Camilla had appeared with polite smiles, but eyes that always conveyed possessiveness. Camilla's position seemed threatened by the younger generation, by Charlotte, the symbol. Everyone in the room recognized the harsh truth. The incident was not an administrative mistake, but a conspiracy aimed at diminishing Charlotte's symbolic role as the representative of the future direct line of succession. Charles sighed heavily. "I never imagined things would go this far." An internal review was conducted urgently. The results clearly confirmed unauthorized interference in the event preparation process, while he gripped his wife's hand tightly, his eyes showing pride and concern. Camilla sat still, but everyone noticed her clenching the armrest. When Catherine mentioned the detail of Camilla sitting in seat number 7 with an air of natural entitlement, the tension in the room intensified. After reviewing all the information one late evening, her voice trembling with emotion. This wasn't a mistake. It was calculated. William squeezed his wife's hand. He too was suppressing his anger. As a father, face showing clear fatigue mixed with contemplation. He was at an age when he needed peace, but the fractures in the family worried him deeply. Father, the seating chart was approved weeks ago, wasn't it? He could not accept his daughter being disrespected in public. The next morning, Catherine decided to meet with King Charles. In his private, warm yet solemn room, she recounted every detail she had witnessed. Charles listened attentively. His protocol manager, who held much important information, suddenly received a transfer to handle more distant events in Scotland. An aide directly involved with the seating file was granted extended medical leave. These changes occurred quietly and professionally. She arranged a series of calculated appearances with Charlotte. At charity events and public meetings, Camilla always smiled radiantly, gently stroked the girl's hair, and even put an arm around Charlotte's shoulders in front of the cameras, professionally, making it extremely difficult for Catherine to verify leads. Whenever she approached a former witness, that person was no longer in their previous role, or had suddenly become vague and evasive. Alongside the behind-the-scenes cover-up, Camilla proactively built a perfect public image. Made no such alteration. Catherine's heart beat faster. She asked the royal aides to check the records immediately. Minutes later, an aide returned with a worried expression. "Your Highness, there was a final amendment added to the file just days before the banquet. But there is no clear signature of approval. It was only a handwritten note and no one has claimed responsibility." Silence filled the room. Catherine stood up.